Mobile homes are an affordable housing option. Some people refer to them as mobile homes. Some people call them trailer homes. No matter what you call them, they still are an affordable housing option. But there are some things that you need to understand before you make that purchase. There are some pitfalls that you could fall into. And today we're going to be covering all of those. I've been talking about manufactured homes for years, so I know I've seen it all. And I'm ready to share all of those details with you now. When you start this journey when buying a home, it doesn't matter if you're buying a manufactured home or a traditional built home. The first thing you're going to want to do is to go ahead and get approved for a loan. And this is when you're going to discover that buying a traditional home is going to get you a much better interest rate than it would for a manufactured home. And you're probably asking yourself why. Well, with lenders, it all has to do with risk. And so whenever they see a manufactured home, they apply the risk value that would be associated with that specific type of home. Now, I found that if you're buying an existing manufactured home that's already on a established piece of land where you're not buying it in the park, you're going to get a much better interest rate than you would with a manufactured home that you would put in a park. And that has to do with the type of loan that you'd be getting if you did get a manufactured home in a park, because of the fact that you're renting the land underneath it and you're only financing the manufactured home itself. The risk is a lot higher, so they go ahead and make the interest rate a lot higher for them as well, so they can make more money on the front end in case you default on the loan. To me, I hate this because most people that are doing that type of loan are in a situation where they really can't afford to buy a piece of land. So this is the most affordable option for them. And it's like they're being punished because they can't afford the land. The banks are telling them they have to pay more because you can't afford the dirt. I get the risk, but I really feel like they're really trying to work against people that are trying to find the most affordable housing option for them. There's one thing I do want to point out though. If you are looking for a manufactured home loan, please point out to your lender, there's some new policies that have come out from the Biden administration when it comes to financing manufactured homes. And this is what it says. Let me get my handy dandy glasses here. This is from the GAO.gov, and this is what it says. Manufactured housing, prefabricated, factory-built homes can be an affordable option for lower-income home buyers, but some borrowers may not qualify for mortgages and might still have to turn to kinds of financing that are less favorable rates and terms. Several federal agencies, including HUD, have created a new modified existing loan program to help manufactured home borrowers. HUD has taken steps to improve financing for manufactured housing, but not fully implemented several proposed changes. So that's the other thing too. Whenever you're working with a lender, you're going to find out that a lot of them have no idea how to finance a manufactured home. You have to find specific types of lenders that will even finance them in the first place. It can be very difficult. So you're going to have to call around a lot. Now, there are some national mortgage brokers that do manufactured homes, whether they're sitting on a piece of land or they're in a park. 21st Mortgage is one of them. But I will tell you right now, if you're looking to get the best rate, I would go to your local bank or credit union to see what they have to offer first. They tend to give you better rates at the local credit unions, and you can work with somebody like face-to-face, one-on-one. 21st Mortgage, with it being a national brand, you kind of get passed off to several different people along the process of getting your home closed. Now, I'll also tell you too that when you are getting your home loan closed, it can take a little bit longer than a traditional home sale. There are some other steps that not only does the real estate agent have to go through, the inspector has to go through them, and your loan officer has to go through them to make sure that they meet the requirements for you to get that loan. Not only that, if it's on a well system, it can even take even longer because you have to get that approved. When you're buying a manufactured home, there's just more steps, especially to get that loan closed and into your new manufactured home. Now, if you're buying a brand new manufactured home on the lot, I always tell people that they do offer financing on those manufactured home lots, but they don't necessarily give you the best rates either. Again, I really want you to check with that national company like 21st Mortgage, and I also want you to check with your local bank and credit unions to see if you can get a much better deal. In a lot of cases, they can take those manufactured homes and roll them into a one loan package instead of two loan packages. A lot of times when you're working with lenders on the lot, they'll have it set up where you have to pay the land separate from the house. And then when you work with other lenders, they'll allow you to roll the land in the home into one specific loan. And the only reason I'm telling you to do that is because of the fact that your interest rates are going to be much better if you have it rolled into one exact property. Now, the reason that some lenders want you to have two loans is because they want to make it very easy for them to default on your loan, to repo the manufactured home itself, that they could take it off the land and you would still own the land, but they would be able to take manufactured home easily. Just think think about that ahead of time. Oh, and another benefit to rolling it into one property instead of having two separate loans is the fact that most states you could go ahead and use your homestead exemption on that because it's considered real property. So in my state, you would get $75,000 of untaxed property tax on your manufactured home. And in some areas, that may be the total cost of the whole entire property itself. It behooves you to go ahead and roll them into one loan. Just make sure you're going to be able to check with your lender that you can do that. I hope you can, because it can save you a lot of money on your taxes and all sorts of stuff. I think one of the biggest pitfalls that most people have to go through when they're deciding on buying a manufactured home is you're going to have friends and family that are basically going to talk you out of doing it. There is a stigma when it comes to manufactured home, and people do look upon them as an inferior product. But I want to tell you, if you're looking to get into a manufactured home or just get out of the rat race of renting, there's nothing wrong with owning a manufactured home. I would strongly urge you to get a manufactured home that is not in a park. If you can't afford to buy a piece of land to own a home, please do that. That's going to be your best bet. And I also want you to consider your manufactured home may not be your forever home. But later on down the road, if you've gone ahead and saved enough for a nest egg for your next house, maybe you may want to consider not exactly getting rid of your manufactured home. Don't try to sell it at all. Use it as an investment property that you could rent out and then you could make income from it. One word of warning, if you do decide to do this, make sure your loan will allow you to have renters in your property, and make sure you change your insurance when you go into the future and decide to rent out your manufactured home. Your insurance is going to be different because it's now a rental property, and your taxes will be different too because you will not have homestead on there. So make sure you put that in your budget. But don't look at a manufactured home as something that you necessarily have to sell in the future. I would love it for you to use it as an investment property in your future. That's actually going to give you more money, more wealth in the future if you're able to do that. But for all those naysayers about manufactured homes, you're going to be the smart one. You're going to be the one that's looking at this as a solution to the fact of not having to pay rent. And not only that, you're going to be looking at this as something in the future you can use as an income earning property. And then you can like sit at the Thanksgiving dinner table, 10 years from now and say, see, remember when you told me it was a terrible purchase? And you're going to be right. You're going to be right. Now, if you're considering and selling your manufactured home within a few years of owning it, you're most likely not going to make a lot of money on it. In some cases, you actually may even lose money. Do you have an uncle that's like sitting at the cross from the table from you saying, don't you buy a trailer because that's going to be nothing but a money pit, because they say that it's a depreciating value. Even talking heads like Dave Ramsey says they're a terrible purchase. He refers to them a car that you sleep in. Dave is wrong about a lot of things, but he's definitely wrong about manufactured homes. If you plan on living in a manufactured home park where you're renting the land underneath it, the likelihood of you getting a return on your investment is going to be a lot less than if you had a manufactured home that was on a piece of property that you owned. What happened in 2020 to 2023 with home values is probably never going to happen again in our history. So if you don't plan on living there for at least 7 years, I wouldn't count on the fact that you're going to be making a lot of money on it. It is true that you would make more money if you lived in a traditional style home and were to sell it within 7 years. You would make more, but that doesn't mean that if you were to buy a manufactured home or mobile home that you would make absolutely no money. Just like anything in real estate, it doesn't matter what you purchase. If it is in good condition and in a good area, you will still make money off of that property. All right, so you found yourself a manufactured home, you're going to buy it brand new, and now you have to find a piece of land. Some manufactured home places will have land available for you to purchase. You're going to find out that it's very difficult to find land that's zoned or will allow for you to have a manufactured home on it, and it can take a long time to find this. This is one of those times I strongly suggest you work with a real estate agent that understands land. There's lots of real estate agents out there. Not many of them understand the pitfalls of buying land. And a lot of them don't know that you can't put a manufactured home on a piece of property. Make sure when you're looking on places like Zillow, Trulia, all of these other areas that they have on there that allows for manufactured homes. In some states, they won't have it on there. So it's going to be up to you to call the real estate agent on the listing itself just to find out if it does allow for a manufactured home. Now, some of the zoning will have changed, by the way, in the last year or so. Remember earlier when I was talking about what the Biden administration had done for home loans? It's the same thing for rezoning some areas as well. So some areas that were considered agricultural would not allow for manufactured housing now will. Oh, And another thing, totally forgot about it. When we were talking about lending earlier, did you know that you can use a USDA loan to go ahead and buy a manufactured home in a rural area? Now, this does have to be attached to land. It cannot be in a manufactured home park, but it is another way that you could be able to get into a home loan. Make sure your lender knows that as well, because it can save you some money. I like saving money. I get this comment all the time when it comes to manufactured homes, and they say that they're built like crap. That's the comment I get. They're total junk. You don't want to purchase one. Well, I can honestly tell you that in years past, the way that manufactured homes were built was not necessarily the best. At one point, there wasn't even any building code when it came to manufactured homes. And after 1976, then they started to put building codes in place when it came to manufactured homes. Now, after Hurricane Andrew is when they started putting in some better quality materials into the manufactured homes. And it's nothing but better ever since then. And if anybody says that they're really like terrible homes and anybody in your family is very concerned, I want you to go ahead and go to any manufactured home lot, it doesn't matter what company or brand, and have them walk in there and look for themselves. And I know that there's going to be people in your family that are probably into construction themselves. You can see all different phases of the manufactured home and how they're put together on those lots itself. So you can even decide on what kind of siding that you want. You can decide on what kind of roofing materials you want. You can decide on what kind of insulation you want. All of these things are options. And somebody once told me years ago that you can buy a manufactured home that's like a Pinto, or you can buy a manufactured home that's like a Cadillac. It's all up to you on what you decide. Of course, when you decide to buy the Cadillac, it's going to be more expensive. Now, manufactured homes have always been less expensive than a traditional built home. Over the last 3 years, manufactured housing has gotten a lot more expensive than what we are probably used to. So keep your eyes open and your minds open when you're looking at them. Even though you may have said, well, this house should only be $65,000. Today, most likely, there's going to be almost $100,000. As you know, inflation has hit all of us, not just in our food costs, but in manufactured housing as well. Okay, a word of warning for you. If you're going to a manufactured home lot and you're looking at them brand new, just know the people that you're talking to are salesmen. Their job is to upsell you on all sorts of different things. Please be wary of that. To me, just like if you're buying a brand new house, only get the things that you really need that's pertinent to the function of your home itself. You're going to have to weigh these things out because it can get really pricey, especially when you start adding on a bunch of different options to your manufactured home. Another thing too that they will try to upsell you on is the fact that they'll say, we can add modular components to your house. And in some cases, some people think, oh, I have a modular home because I added these modular components to my manufactured home. And that's not going to be the case. You're still going to have a manufactured home that just so happens to have modular components to it. That does not make it a modular home. Again, they're salespeople. They're trying to upsell you. And don't get wrapped up in the excitement of it all. It's very exciting to look at brand new homes, but I just want you to be very clear about that. Now, a lot of my subscribers and people that I've sold manufactured homes to have told me one thing I didn't know, and you should be aware of too. The way that manufactured homes are built, they can have different sizes of windows and doors. A lot of times it's not like the standard size, and it can be difficult to get those things replaced if you have to, meaning that they're not the standard size that you would typically get in a traditional built home. So you can have a problem getting those replaced if you have an issue in the future. So just know that, especially if you don't have like local Home Depot that you can order those types of windows from. So that can be a pitfall for you. If I missed any pitfalls that you know of and you happen to live in a manufactured home, please let me know in the comments section below. To watch more videos about manufactured housing and other affordable housing options, you're going to want to watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.